Wow, it's been a while. I don't even know what to say. Hey, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. This looks very different from the last time that you and I talked, which is pretty interesting. I feel like I have a lot to catch up on. I have not posted for a little over a year and a half. I thought it would be fun to go through this video that I posted, which was books that I'm excited for in 2025, and tell you how many I read, what I rated them, and then also throw in stories about where the heck I've been. So the first book that I was excited for was No Place Left to Hide by Megan Lally, which I believe I gave either a 4.5 or a 4 stars. I have since read her latest release in 2026, What We Did to Survive, which I'm pretty sure I gave a 5 star. I thought that was spectacular. I've recommended this to my mom. I've recommended this to friends. I am an absolute mega fan of Megan Lally, and I cannot wait to see what she does next. So, why didn't I post for over a year and a half? I got pregnant. Yeah, yeah. I got very pregnant and I was not feeling the greatest during the majority of my pregnancy. Let's go to the next book and I'll tell you more. The next book was The Crash, which I almost wish I hadn't read this because this kind of turned me off to Frida McFadden books in general. I genuinely don't even remember what I rated it, but there was just something in the book, especially while I was pregnant, that I just could not handle. And I have truthfully not read a Frida McFadden book since reading The Crash in 2025. When I was pregnant, then I also have OCD. And so one of my biggest OCD things is I'm very all or nothing. I really gave my all essentially to being pregnant, which that's okay, I feel like, to a point, but it's not the greatest behavior. I am working on by coming back to doing some book social media because I've consistently loved reading. I want to work on just doing my best to do this for fun because I don't necessarily have to give it my all. It's just something I want to do for fun. And before, having fun also meant giving my all. And I feel like those two things can be separate or should be separate. Hopefully, my therapist is proud of me for that one. Well, the next book was Onyx Storm. I did read this. I seriously don't know anymore if I even want to continue the series. It just also was not for me. I distinctly remember reading this during the time that we had found the daycare for our son that he would go to. So I think that was April of 2025. I could also be very wrong on that, but I don't think I enjoyed it the most. I think it was just too long. I don't even know where we're going. I feel like for me, a fantasy series that I'm really enjoying and that I think does a really good job at being a fantasy series is a Mastery of Monsters series by Lizelle Samberry. I adore that series. I think it does it very well. Onyx Storm did not hit for me. I seriously don't know if I'll read the fourth. Speaking of finding the daycare for our son, I did give birth to him. He's here. You won't ever see his face. I may say his name. I'm going to try not to because he's a baby and I want to protect his privacy. I'll probably just mention him as my son. It was a really, really rough birth for me personally, which I'll talk more about after the next book. The Love Lyric by Christina Forrest. I didn't read this until 2026 and I read it on audio, which I was fine listening to on audio because that's how I listened to The Neighbor Favor. I was lucky enough to get the partner plot as an arc, and then the Love Lyric I just listened to a little bit late. I really liked it. I am a huge Christina Forrest fan. I want to read her entire backlist. I actually have the arc for her next book coming out in 2027, which is called The Unrequited Love Department, which I'm super excited to have gotten. You should see my face when I got the email. And I am just so happy to be able to enjoy her books. I really loved The Summer Girlfriend as well. I definitely liked that more than The Love Lyric, but I liked that whole series being my introduction to her. And speaking of love, in the moments after birth, did I instantly love my son? Yes, but I was also told by the doctor after an hour and a half of getting stitches that I would never be able to give birth naturally again, which is really hard news to hear in such a vulnerable position. If you want a full birth story, I guess you can let me know. But that also just definitely rocked my world and led into what was a really tough recovery, which also made it hard to want to do book social media again, which honestly made it really hard to even read. It's something that I have luckily been able able to work on, and that's one of the reasons I want to come back. So let's see what the next book is, and I'll talk a little bit more about what recovery looked like. We have The Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I think I thought this was okay. I don't think I'm the biggest Ali Hazelwood fan in the world. She's not my favorite author, but I do enjoy her writing. I believe I also listened to Mate via audiobook, which I also thought was pretty good. I would continue to read her books. And when it comes to Deep End being set in a pool, I had to spend a lot of time in a bath in recovery. I had to take 3 20-minute baths a day as part of my recovery, which a lot of people think, would be relaxing, but I feel like that's really hard to find that time on top of pumping, on top of caring for a newborn, on top of just not feeling great. The 2 months after my son was born, absolute blur. I also got mastitis and I had to have antibiotics for that, which was terrible. I had a fever of like 101 even while I was on Tylenol pretty much around the clock. I can't express what those 2 months were like, but it definitely wasn't the newborn bliss that I feel like I heard so much about. And so once I was kind of forced out of that fog, I really had to check in with myself and make sure that I was okay. Let's go to the next book and I'll talk more about that. Next, we have Somewhere in the City by Alex Astor, which I did read. I don't think I liked this romance as much as Deep End, honestly. And they're two very different romances, right? Alex Astor versus Ali Hazelwood. What I will say is that I still like Alex Astor's writing when it comes to Stormside. I listened to that and I thought that was well done. I know a lot of people have controversies over that. I do want to continue to read the Light Lark series. For me, again, I know that's a controversial book series for some people, but I did enjoy Light Lark. I have the next book. I started it, but then I found out I was pregnant and stopped reading. Yeah, and it was funny because my husband actually met Alex Astor for me and FaceTimed her in to talk to me and got some books signed. I just feel like Alex Astor has just a special place in my heart for that reason, regardless of what people say about the writing of her books. I don't know if I'll read the new Barbie one that I know is coming out, but who knows, maybe. So the reason I was forced out of that fog is because I had to go back to work. I went back to work at about 11 weeks postpartum, and that was really tough. Again, with the OCD having this all or nothing behavior, I threw my all into work before I had my son and after I had my son. And so that was really hard to see, how can I give my all at work while also giving my all as being a mom. That October to November into December, like that was an extremely tough transition, especially with my son going to daycare. And I feel like I have since been able to work on that, to feel a balance, to feel like I'm in a place where I can take time to myself to create content again. I have been reading throughout, but just recently I feel like I've gotten to a place where, like, while he sleeps, it's okay to read. Or if he and I are on a walk, I can listen to an audiobook, where at the beginning of my postpartum, I couldn't do that. Same thing at work. If I'm doing a repetitive task, I can listen to an audiobook. I wasn't doing that when I first came back to work. So I feel like I was really in this all or nothing world where I feel like it's okay to live in that middle place. Let's get to the next book. We're at our first book that we haven't read, which I don't really think is surprising. I've been doing really good so far. I have not read Oathbound by Tracy Deonn, but I have it. And I do want to prioritize finishing some series that I'm really curious about just catching up on or just completely finishing, and Oathbound falls into that category. I feel like something more positive to start talking about, because obviously if I'm back, that means I'm in general feeling better, is you can see behind me, the background looks very different. Hopefully the audio and the camera quality sounds very different. I have been doing research to prepare to come back, which again sounds like I'm putting my all into it, but I think I want to just be proud of what I make, and I want to be able to show this to my son and show him that he can also do anything he puts his mind to. So I feel like I have a very inspirational reason to do well on this. I mean, even watching my old video with the blue shelf, which I still have and love, and with the camera quality and the sound quality, I really do just want to try to improve skills for this hobby. And I know that I don't have to be the best at it. I don't have to necessarily give my all, but I think it is fun to continuously learn and grow. So that's what I want want to continue to do. Okay, we're back to books I've read. We have Sunrise on the Reaping. Did this hit different having a kid? Absolutely it did. Absolutely it did. But I'm so excited to have this collection of books behind me to one day hopefully share with my son or maybe with another kid. That is not something I'm even thinking about. I was also told by all of my doctors that I had to wait at least 2 years before having a kid. That is their recommendation, just based off the severity of what happened during labor. They really recommend me waiting a full 2 years to recover before having another kid. I also think I rated Sunrise on the Reaping like a 4.5. Next, we have Say You'll Remember Me, which I actually did a buddy read on this, and I saw the person I did a buddy read with. We live in 2 different states, but I actually saw them at the Noah Kahan concert in Chicago, which was just such a fun wraparound. I did go to a Noah Kahan concert. I've been getting back out there more recently in terms of having fun again, I would say. And I really enjoyed seeing that person again. And so hopefully I'll be able to do more buddy reads and whatnot. I haven't really done buddy reads during the time after my pregnancy and after giving birth to my son. I'm hoping to be able to do more again. And I think I rated Say You'll Remember Me like a 4 or 4.5. I have had grandparents that have memory issues. And so this did definitely hit close to home. And I have listened to The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez too, and I believe I liked that one better, if I'm not mistaken. I will say that thinking all the way back to 2025 books, this is definitely testing my memory. We have The Gods Time Forgot, which I really enjoyed. I was actually a beta reader for this book. I feel like trying to remember all of my fun book things before getting pregnant is definitely a little bit difficult because it was such a monumental moment in my life that I feel like my memories have just shifted a bit during that time. I remember enjoying this, and I hope to see more from Kelsey. I don't think she's published another book, but I think another book of hers is on submission. I kind of follow her journey on TikTok. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Next, we have Jasmine Guillory, Flirting Lessons, which I listened to on audio this year. So there are some of these 2025 books that I didn't listen to in 2025, but listened to in 2026, or that I read in 2026. I liked Flirting Lessons. I'm trying to remember what the other book is called. Let me look up what the other book. I liked Flirting Lessons more than the other book set in this universe. That much I remember. The other book set in this universe is Drunk on Love, and I did like Flirting Lessons more than Drunk on Love. And I actually get to meet Jasmine Guillory this year. So excited. I have like a few authors that I haven't met that I have on like a list. Jasmine Guillory is one of them. Lizelle Samberry is one of them. I'm not meeting Lizelle Samberry this year. Goodness gracious, I wish. But I am meeting Jasmine Guillory, which I am super excited for. And I have been attending some author events in between. I went to Young Adult Midwest Festival through Anderson's Bookshop. I met Titus Gurma, the author of Immortal Dark and Eternal Rune. I've not read Eternal Rune yet, but I want to. And so I've slowly been getting back to some author events, but I actually have 4, maybe 5 that are going to come up after this video is posted, which is kind of crazy, but I'm hoping to take you all with me along every step of the way. Next, we have The Perfect Divorce by Geneva Rose, who I'm actually meeting again for her book, Sometimes I Scare Myself. However, I didn't read The Perfect Divorce. Oops. I really need to reread The Perfect Marriage before getting into The Perfect Divorce. And I will say, I have become more of a Geneva Rose fan. You Shouldn't Have Come Here is my least favorite book of hers. It almost turned me off to her as an author. Then her other books since that have been really captivating, and I've liked them all. I'm hoping The Perfect Divorce is a book that I would like to, but I have not actually read that yet. We haven't read 2 of them, and I am 10-ish minutes into my old video. I feel like that's pretty decent. Next, we have Parents Weekend by Alex Finlay, and I also read The Anniversary by Alex Finlay. Both, I believe, I gave 4 stars. I just really like his writing, and it's been really fun reading authors that I read while I was pregnant to when now I have given birth, and to see that I still like them. It makes me feel like there are still parts of me that I get to tap into that I really like, and that while I have had this monumental change of having a kid and everything that I went through in labor and postpartum, that there are still pieces of me that can come out, especially through books, which I've really enjoyed. We have The Thrashers by Julie Soto, which I did read. I believe I gave this a 4.5. I don't think Julie Soto's really released much since The Thrashers, so I feel like I'm not too behind with Julie Soto, which is good. She is an author that I do want to keep up with, and she is an author that I know some of my book club friends like, which I am in 2 book clubs. I've been keeping up with book club books. Both of my book clubs, the virtual one and in person, were so gracious. Oh, I don't want to get emotional on the internet. Both of them were so gracious after I had my son, and with him growing up and nobody in either book club really being in the situation of having a kid under the age of 1, they've really been able to let me set the pace with reading books, still being willing to meet with me. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful to still have their friendship and support as I've come back to myself, because I don't know. Ooh, I was expecting it this emotional. I don't know where I would be hobby-wise without having them to kind of ground me. I'm really appreciative for them for continuing to support my love of reading, and I don't think I would even be coming back to book social media without their support. I hope they watch this, and I hope they know how much they mean to me. I'm gonna have tears in my eyes for a little bit, but I think we'll be okay. The next book is Sweet Chaos, which I actually don't think has come out. Have I kept up with a lot going on in the reading world, news-wise, whatnot? Clearly not. It hasn't really been my focus. I do want to get back into it, but I genuinely don't know what happened with this. I believe there was some hot water with Tracy Wolff and her Crave series. I don't know. I might need to look into that. I feel like I have a lot to catch up on for being gone for almost 2 years. So I didn't read this one, but I don't necessarily think that's my fault. I didn't read it. Next, we have Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends by Tia Williams. I did listen to this one in 2026. I've really started to enjoy Tia Williams' writings. I finished Missed Connections by her 2026 release, and I enjoyed that. I feel like she's really starting to find her footing after 7 Days in June too. I still liked 7 Days in June, but I know like a love song for Ricky Wilde, I was a little shaky on there. I haven't read her entire backlist, I think, but I'm excited to see what she does going forward, and she is an author that I continue to watch. That being said, I've still been reading ARC. I had a bunch of ARCs from Nat Galley that I just could not finish in time once I gave birth. I read maybe 2 books in the month of August of 2025, which is the lowest amount that I have read since I started reading again in 2020. Now, finally, I am catching up on my ARCs. I am so grateful for publishers to continue to allow me to get ARCs on NetGalley. I have gotten some book mail while I've been out, which I'm so excited to talk about. I'm hopefully excited to start actually reading ARCs as ARCs and not super late and getting my reviews up late. So I'm also in a better place with that to hopefully get back into doing some early reviews, which I think are part of the fun of doing this whole book social media thing, is being able to review early, give thoughtful insights. And I just wasn't in a place to do that until now. Next, we have One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. Have not read this. I own this though. It's on my shelf, which I want to reorganize all my shelves. So you will also be seeing that in an upcoming video. We have Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I did read this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Kennedy Ryan is also an author where I want to explore her backlist and continue to read more by her. I really enjoy her writing, and I haven't kept up with what she's been doing next. So I feel like she is an author that I need to continue to check on. Look at that. I talked about this earlier in the video, A Mastery of Monsters. I actually just finished A Clash of Carnivores, and I am just blown away by Lizelle Sansbury's writing. She is one author that I would absolutely love to meet. I don't have a passport. Genuinely might get a passport just to go and meet Lizelle Sansbury if she tours in Canada. I believe she's coming to New York for one event. I really hope for the last book in the Mastery of Monsters series, she does a book tour in the US or seriously Canada. I would seriously go to fly and meet her. Next, we have Sounds Like Love, and that's not a book that I've read. Oops. I feel like I still read some book, but because I was so focused on the book club books, and I don't like to listen to audiobooks of physical books that I own. That's probably an OCD trait. I should probably figure that out or do immersive reading, one of the two. That's one of the reasons that I've just put off reading this, because I have it physically and I haven't had a chance to read it physically. Could I get this on audiobook and listen to it? Yeah, but I haven't wanted to. That's something that would definitely be interesting to work on or to do immersive reading with. Next, we have Glorious Rivals, who Jennifer Lynn's Barnes team at her publishing company, I'm trying to remember their name, I'm blanking on it. They actually did send me a PR package for the last book in this series, which I'm I'm so grateful for. So I definitely want to read these, but I just have not gotten to it. You'll see now that like these books that are coming out a bit later in the year, come that June, July time, I start kind of falling off on, because that was at the height of my pregnancy. I think I had gained like 70 pounds. When I gave birth to my son, he was 9 pounds, 2 ounces. So I was just struggling in the summer heat with the summer months. We have Yulee by S.J. Jones. I've read all the books in this series. I actually have the ARC sitting on my Kindle, which I'm going to pick up soon. The next book in the series will be out by the time this video is posted. And I really liked Yulee. I think it was my favorite of the series so far. So I'm really excited to continue reading this series. And I think this was the first ARC that I picked up after giving birth to my son, was Yulee. And so I think now this whole series of Guardians of the Dawn just has a really special place in my heart because of that. This is an interesting one. This is A Spear Tube by Aiden Thomas, who I have met. I would love to meet him again. But this actually got pushed out to September of 2026, and I have the ARC sitting on my Kindle. So I am really excited to read this. I just haven't read it because it got pushed out, which again, that's not on me. I was excited for it in 2025. I'm still excited for it in 2026. Hopefully, I will read that truly as an ARC and be able to give early thoughts on it. And I would love to hopefully give a recap for you all, whether it's on here or another platform, of either all the books that I've continued to read while I've been postpartum and while I was pregnant with my son, and then also all the books going forward, because I don't see myself stopping reading anytime soon. Next, we have Salt Crop by Yume Kitatsu. I usually love Yume's books. I did not really like Salt Crop. I am excited for her next book. I can't remember the title, but I know it's set back in space. This was more of like a dystopian, I feel like, type book set on Earth, it feels like, which it just didn't have the same qualities as the Stardust Grail or the Deep Sky for me. So I'm excited she's kind of going back to space with the next one, which again, another author that I have to keep up with at some point. We also read Salt Crop as my in-person book club book, and I had to apologize to them. We have Moth Dark, which I did read and I did enjoy, and I don't know if Kika has another book coming out, but I really would want to read more by her. I really enjoyed Moth Dark. I thought it was a unique fantasy novel. I think her writing just plays as a movie in my head, and I feel so lucky to be able to read it. I love Threads That Bind, Hearts That Cut, Moth Dark, so I'm definitely trying to keep up with Kika when she releases a book. Cold Wire was also a book club book, but for my virtual book club, which was really fun. I remember enjoying it. I'm so excited for Deadlock to come out this year. I think Eyes of Kings, or the last book in the Vilest Things series, has recently come out. I would love to read that too. If I could just read for like 16 hours a day, I could catch up on all the books that I missed while I took a break. But, not something that's probably going to happen. The next book was Girls Who Play Dead, which I also read after giving birth to my son. So I'm starting to catch up. You can see the period where I wasn't really reading, and then I was trying to catch up. Girls Who Play Dead I had as an ARC, so I was trying to read that. I really liked Girls Who Play Dead. I believe I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I want to keep supporting Joelle Wellington. I think she's a great author. I don't know what she has coming next, but I need to look and keep an eye out to see what she has coming next. A lot of these fall folks that came out in 2025, I don't know if they took a year off in 2026 and they're coming back in 2027, or if I just haven't been paying attention to book news, but I really do need to look into that. This is our first repeat author on this list, Geneva Rose, Dating at the End of the World. That was great. I love Dating at the End of the World. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I just hope there's a sequel, and honestly, if there's a sequel, that would be a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I have not had her sign that book yet. I really want her to, but the signing that I'm going to, I don't think she's signing extra books. However, am I going to bring them just in case the rules change? Yeah, that's one of my hacks for book events, is you always bring books just in case they change the rules the day of. Now, if they don't, never shove the books in an author's face. That would just be silly and rude, but there's always a chance that it could change. So now I start talking about authors that I didn't know if they had a release at this time in 2024. The first one was Hamada Emil, who I still really love and enjoy. His book for 2025, I believe, it could have been 2026, was I Don't Wish You Well, which I got an ARC of and I really enjoyed. I applied excited to get an arc for his next book. I really, really hope I get that one, but we'll just have to see what happens. The next author was Christina Lauren. I just feel like I haven't been in the biggest fun romance mood, or I wasn't. I feel like now I want to get back into some playful romances now that I'm just in a better mental state in general after having a kid. And so I might revisit some Christina Lauren books. I know they had a book come out this year in 2026, but I haven't even picked it up, haven't looked into it. But that could be one that I listen to on audiobook because I don't own it physically with the made up rules that I have in my head. Next, we have Angeline Boulley, who I believe released Sisters in the Wind. I believe that's what it's called. I have it physically. I want to read it. I just have not gotten to it yet. It's technically, I think, the third book in the Firekeeper's Daughter series. I don't think it's considered a series, but all the books are interconnected. I have read the previous two books. I could read this one. I just haven't yet, and I don't know why. Probably just time. I feel like one of the things they don't tell you about having kids is that all of your time completely shifts in terms of, this kid is going to take up a lot of your time, but I have really enjoyed just being fully present with him, and I don't want to change that. And so I know that's a reason why I'm not reading as many books as I used to read, is because I would just read after work from like 5 till 9, and now I don't really read until after he goes to sleep, and that's after doing chores, which would not trade that in the world for anything. I love spending time with my son, but it is an adjustment, and a very stark adjustment, because they just let you leave the hospital with the kid. There's no training for that. Kind of crazy. Next, we have Alex Michaelides, who has not released another book to my knowledge. Don't know when he's releasing another one, but I would read it when it comes out. I think he's working on book 4, last I remember, but I don't think there's any official news on it. I could be wrong. Could definitely be wrong. And then I talked about what I am most excited for 2026 because it was already announced, which was Tempest by Victoria Aveyard. And we traveled across 2 states to meet her because she was nowhere near us, and she luckily now is coming back in the area, and I actually am going to be meeting her on the Tempest book tour. I am so thrilled. I'm so excited for this book. I love Victoria Aveyard's writing. I will read anything that she puts out there. I listened to her podcast constantly while I was pumping or when I was sick. I feel like there's obviously a lot of appreciation for her openness. I just can't wait to meet her again. I'm so excited to get Tempest in my hands. I am just over the moon excited. So that's where I've been. That's what I did with the last books that I was excited about. All these bookshelves behind me, I want to reorganize. I'm going to take you guys with me to do that. I want to take you to author events. I want to talk about book club books, what reading looks like now versus when I didn't have a kid. I used to do 24-hour readathons over a weekend every month, not doing that anymore, but I'm super excited to see where it goes, and I feel like this is going to be really fun with you all. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you continue to stick with me. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, definitely subscribe. Let me know if you're a mom who loves to read. Let me know what other videos you would want to see. I really, really just can't wait to get back to you all, to read with you all again, to share the love of reading, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.